Good morning.
Good morning, Rose.
How are you, Brian?
Pretty good.
Brian, we haven't done this in a year.
Right?
You know, it's been a whole year, and in a year, I know a lot of different things changed and happened for you.
Yes, it has been quite the year.
It's been quite the year. How are you doing?
Right now, I happen to be, I would say, in a pretty good place. Things are calm. As we've spoken, I really want to do two of these because I want to cover what has happened in the course of the last year.
Okay.
And then I also want to do the second one for where I am right now.
Okay.
Because where I am right now is really dramatically different than where I was a year ago. So we'll talk that over in another session, if
Right.
you don't mind. And I just want to reiterate, since it has been a year, that the reason that we're doing this, you and Linda and I, is I do apparently have some kind of a special skill that I'm able to really analyze what's happening to me, and I'm well spoken. And I think I want it to be helpful to people who have the condition, the disease, and I also want to be helpful to people who are caregivers, so that when they go through a difficult time with their loved one with Alzheimer's, I hope that it gives them strength to understand what is happening to their loved one and why their life is so difficult, And I'm really almost more sympathetic to the caregivers than I am to the patients.
Well, you're the patient, Brian, and you see it from your side, but then you're looking through the side.
Yes.
In our meeting yesterday, our Alzheimer's support group, all I kept doing was thinking about what was your perception of these caregivers talking about their pain.
It was difficult to hear. It was extremely difficult to hear. And as a result of that meeting, Linda and I probably have had 2 or 3 really serious sit-down talks as a result, because it just brought things into such a tremendous focus, and I really want Linda to understand exactly what it is that I want and what I don't want for her. I really, really, really don't want it for her.
It's such a privilege that you have the opportunity to be able to make that decision.
It is.
It's your awareness,
It
because
is.
so often people with the disease won't even admit they have a disease, or they don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know it.
I analyzed situations, having been a lawyer, and people's problems for a living. And I thought about those problems and what was the best way to navigate the difficulty or give them advice or whatever I had to do for them as an attorney. And I think that's where I get the ability to analyze myself. But more importantly, I also formulated advice for people, of what they should do. And that is a skill that I have, that I acquired during the course of my life. Most average people don't have that ability. But what I think it's very important for people to understand is you have to talk about it.
And that's what people fear.
And a lot of people don't talk about, a lot of people during the course of their lives, when they're not sick at all, they internalize their difficulties. And, I'm not going to analyze that, because you can live the life that you can, but when you have this disease, you really do have to, calmly, calmness is really hard, but you have to kind of think things through and realize where you are and what's happening to you, and then share it with your caregiver, with your loved one, and talk it out and express for yourself what it is that you're going through and how you can deal with it. And if you need special help, one of the things that I'm going to touch on today, if you need special help, is go get it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm going to say today, that over the course of this past year, for the first time, there was a time when I was so, I don't know, not wound up, but I was just so overwhelmed by what was going on, that the thought hit my mind, I don't want to live this way anymore.
Wow.
I do not want to live this way anymore, you know, and I immediately knew the implications of what I had said. And I sat there and I thought to myself, hey, so,
What does that mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
what do we do with
you're,
this?
you're a God-fearing man. What do I mean by that?
What do we do with this, you know? And what I came up with was that, well, I haven't dwelled on it. I understand the problem. I know a big problem with suicide is denial, you know, but I said to myself, no, I think I've got this. I don't think I really need professional help at this point. But I shared it with Linda. And I said to her, you know, hon, I'm going to say something to you that's going to be really upsetting, you know. And it is upsetting. But you gotta do
talk
things
about
that
it.
you've never done in the past, you know, because if you don't and you internalize it, you're just killing yourself.
And that's what people don't do. They don't want to talk about, they don't want to go to the doctor, to the neurologist with their loved one and talk in front of their loved one. Well, why not? But that's a fear they have. But then each person's reality is their own. And if that person is in denial about it and it sparks anger, that's why they fear doing it. So it's this slippery slope that people don't know how to go down.
Yeah. Well, it's a slippery slope that, you know. I mean, that's why I'm doing it. I want to bring it out. I have that skill. I think I have a bit of a gift from the Lord, and I want to share it, so that people who perhaps don't understand it or would find it very difficult will take it to heart and at least think about how they're going to handle things.
Right.
You know, really.
You wrote some notes today,
Yeah, because
Brian.
I was thinking about this is the first time I've been using notes, but I
I
am going
know.
back a year. I am going back a year. But in the last year, I'm just going to kind of like go through things in no particular chronological order because I don't particularly remember them. But symptoms that I've had to deal with. The top of the list is this is not happening right now, but there was a period of time where I was seeing things. And I would see particularly cats, and they were dark black cats. And they were not threatening, you know, but I mean, I would actually look and see something, you know. The exact opposite of that is, and this happened a lot, is I would be looking for something. My glasses, which I spent half my life looking for my glasses. But I would be walking around the house trying to find something. Let's say my glass case, my eyeglass case. And, you know, you'd look at the kitchen table, you'd look at the center island in the kitchen, you'd look at the coffee table, you'd look at the table
spots,
between them.
right.
Yeah. And you would look at something, and there'd be 6 things on the table, one of which would be the glasses. And I wouldn't see them. They would be there. And I wouldn't see them. And then I go on, and I'm moving around, all, you know, going here, there, and every place, and I'm thinking to myself, geez, what the heck am I going to do about these glasses? You know, I need my glasses. So I'd sit down, and then I'd look over at the table near my
And there
glasses.
they
And
are.
I had looked at it, and I had not seen them. And it wasn't like I was walking through just saying like this. I mean,
You were physically looking and taking
I
the
was
time.
looking, okay, I'm looking for my glasses here, you know? And it's, I mean, that's just really kind of, and I understand that's part of Parkinson's. And there is a relationship between Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. I mean, in
Very
terms
much
of,
so.
You know, and so maybe that's what that was all about. But I alluded to something else, how these symptoms come and go. There's no consistency. I haven't seen anything for the longest time now, you know, but there was a period of time there when it was happening to me on a very regular basis.
So you figure something out, you know what it is, and then it doesn't happen anymore.
Well, that's interesting. That is a possible explanation. I didn't think that was really what was happening. I just think because there are other things that fade in and fade out, you know, and they cycle through.
Unbelievable.
The other thing is dreams have been really interesting. I have what Linda and I called Alzheimer's dreams, and they are all disturbing. They are all very anxiety producing. and they all involve, symbolically loss of mental function. Raised in New York, went to school in New York, spent a lot of time on the subway, getting lost on the subway, and just standing on a subway station and saying, okay, where am I? And where is it I was going to go? Which is not where I'm at, but that is a common aspect of Alzheimer's disease, and my mind is somehow or another, my dream life is already going there.
Going to the past.
Going to the past, but also going into the future, like this is what happens to me in the future, Alzheimer's disease,
Wow.
But then the most amazing dream that I had was, Linda and I have spent a lot of time backpacking in our lives, and we both love the mountains, so, if we get up above 8,000, 10,000 feet, that's really where we'd love to be, And so anyway, I'm in this absolutely gorgeous place, and I would say that it was probably part of the Red Rock country in the Southwest, but up at elevation and in a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous pine forest with a stream that's flowing out of the mountains, and it's not a stream bed, it's kind of like it's over here and it's over there and it's cascading over rocks and everything, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And all of a sudden, big areas of rock, big areas just fall away, just drop, And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this drop and that drop and that drop, and I decide, I have to move away from here, and I have to go someplace else. And I go someplace else, and sure enough, where I had been then drops away. And I sit myself down and I look at where I am. And you know how they say people have visions of heaven and this brilliant light that just makes everything so intensely colorful and beautiful, and detailed and in focus. And that's where I am. I'm sitting there. And I say to myself, this is good. This is good. Now, how I put that dream together is I also spend a lot of time wondering about what happens. I'm slowly losing my mind, right? And what happens when I'm no longer here, right? Mentally.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still here physically. And where will my mind isn't just going to go
Right.
off, but I'm no longer going to be able to communicate. And where do I go
When that happens, in your mind, where do you go?
Yeah, where do I go? Am I trapped, or am I just at peace with wherever it is that I am? Or
Well, you hope so. I mean, that's a very deep thought. I wonder how many people have that deep of a thought. Because I feel from the different groups and stuff I've done, not a lot of people do. You're very unique to this. I probably have had, over 150 people in different groups. But nobody seems to have, nobody comes as the actual patient that comes to groups. It's the caregivers. And I don't know that the caregivers are in a place to understand where is their loved one. And, that's what makes you so unique, because you spend the time analyzing where you're at.
Yeah.
And forever changing.
I'd love to know what it was. We had something happened, and you're part of the story, I think. Something happened, and it was late in the day, and it was new, and it was disturbing. So I sat myself down, and Linda had gone to bed, and I'm sitting there, kind of like, not really in the dark, but I didn't have light on in the room that I was in. It was just kind of radiating in. And I was thinking to myself, now, what the heck had just happened here, And Linda comes in and says, what are you doing sitting out here? And I just said, I'm processing. And she said, oh.
Good night.
And she left. So you gotta have a sense of humor.
You gotta have a sense of humor.
Let's see, unexplained mood swings. And it's so funny throughout life you get mad, you get angry, you're happy. You understand why you're mad, why you're happy, why you're confused, But these things just, it's like a wave washing over you, It's just, all of a sudden you're all stressed out and you're like,
What happened?
Why am I on edge here? You know, I mean, I'm in the same room, I'm the same person, but all of a sudden you just get this
Anxiety, for lack of a better word?
anxiety, yeah, but just edgy is my word. Just edgy, like, you know, I hope nothing goes wrong here.
Anticipating.
I can't, if something happens that's going to bother me, I'm not going to handle it well right now. You know, no reason for that to happen. You know, it just is, you know, part of mood swings. I call that one of the mood swings that you go through.
Wow.
You know, they sneak up on you. Sometimes you're not even aware of it, and when you realize it, you sit there and you think to yourself, yeah, you know, I've been bothered by this now for a day or so. You know, it's just been coming on. And this is, you know, part of behavior patterns as it happens, and you become very edgy. You want to lash out, and you want to verbalize your frustration, you know, and who's there?
Your loved one,
Yeah.
your caregiver.
Yeah, you know, and I think I'm doing a better job now than I did in the past. But there are still times when my behavior is just more of this tomorrow, but or later or whatever. There are yes, my dear. There are times. There are times when it's just overwhelming. I mean, you flash like that, you know. And
Is it overwhelming to you, or is it overwhelming what you're doing to her?
no, it's overwhelming in terms of, you know, like you get edgy and you realize it and you say, okay, so now I just got to let this pass. I got to calm down. Got to control myself, you know. But then there are other times where you're gone.
You can't do it.
You're just whoosh, boom. Well, it's not that you can't do it. You don't even realize it.
You
You
don't
just
even-
explode.
Oh,
You know, there's nothing rational about it at all, and that's even more disturbing. You know, because I'm a big guy, still a strong guy,
all right.
and you know, my greatest fear is that, you know, any harm would ever come to anyone, but
Right.
particularly to Linda. You know,
Right.
because she's the one that I live with.
Yeah.
Then the next stage of this is that when that happens, it's really, really very depressing. You know, I mean, you sit there and you say, God, dog, you know.
I couldn't help it, and how do I stop it? And you can't.
And you can't, you know, and it's depressing and it's also frightening. I mean, you're afraid of what you will do, you could do, but it's frightening to you, to me, to a person, to realize that there was a time there when I was not in control of myself.
Now, we've sat in
Yeah.
group and had other caregivers share that experience
Mhm.
that they had. And
Mhm.
this is something that happens to many, many people,
Yeah.
that their loved one of 40 years has come after them and they don't know how to explain it and they're so upset about it. And he does love me, but what do I do? But they can't control it. And that's what I think that people feel like it's an intentional act, and it's by no means intentional.
No, it's really. I mean, it's. There are other things that have happened. You know, behavior and personality changes have happened in the course of the last year that were really, really dramatic and really, really frightening. And one of them involved Linda. You know, I was at one of these. Edgy times. You know, and when you get edgy like that, the smallest little thing can bother you. You know, and I made a mistake in that I didn't say, you know, Linda, I'm not in a good place right here, right now. I didn't talk about it, which probably would have been better. But anyway, you know, Linda was doing small little things, nothing wrong, just things that were bothering me, you know. And this happened, and that happened, and that happened. And finally it just popped, and I said something to her that I'm not going to repeat. It wasn't vain or vulgar, but it was really, really mean and hurtful and harmful, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute I said it, I realized it completely. I was so upset with myself that I didn't say anything. But I was really upset with the fact that number one, it had happened. I had said it, but what was really the worst for me was, man, that's just not me. That's just
Flip of the switch, another person came
not
in.
me.
Yeah.
It's not that another person came in, like it's part of my personality, and it just came out and I couldn't control it. It was like, that's not, I don't have that, that's not me.
Right.
And that was really really very, very upsetting. And I think that's why I didn't say anything right away, because I knew that it was wrong. I knew that it would have hurt her deeply.
But it's definitely something that's part of the disease, because I've had people say, my mother never said a curse word in her life, and now she curses like a sailor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not part of her makeup is, but yet somehow this has come out.
Yeah.
So it's definitely part of the disease, this change in personality.
Yeah.
And you can only pray that it doesn't come out too often.
Yeah. Well, Linda's, the next morning we just met each other at the same moment, and I said, Linda, I know that was terrible, and she said to me, Brian, please don't ever say that to me again, and
You pray you don't.
We're married 50 years, so we were able to get over it, and it's gone, but it's still, I think about that because I didn't hurt her physically, and I had never thought about hurting her emotionally.
Right.
I never thought of that, but I hurt her emotionally. And it's not me. It's inconsistent with the relationship that we have. And again, that's frightening.
That's frightening.
When things start happening to you that you have no control over, and that so far as you've ever known were never part of your makeup, and you got no control over it happening, and as time goes on, perhaps limited control over having it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm still pretty good and pretty strong.
But holding on to those things too,
Yeah. I just alluded to this. I still have the tendency not to talk about things until it is a crisis, out of hand, and really too late.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like I said in the beginning, I would say to my fellow travelers, even if you've never been a person, big tough guy, I can take care of everything. You're not going to take care of this one, guys and gals, and you better be ready to
hold on.
Yeah, personality change, mean, really mean. This is irrational, out of control, not me. Again, frightening. And I'll go into really greater detail about this tomorrow. But in the course of the year, I have realized that my symptoms are changing qualitatively and quantitatively, and that they are starting to be disruptive of normal daily activity.
Mm.
And still doing well with that, and I'll explain in the next video that what that's all about. But where I am now, I've seen this coming for probably at least 6 months, and here I am, So you do have an awareness of things, and I really think that it's so important that you calmly confront, realize, and understand what's happening to you. I'm blessed. I've never had any sense of guilt. Excuse me. Because I didn't choose this.
No.
I do have tremendous concern, but I've had no sense of guilt. And if you don't talk about, first of all, talking about it is therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about it helps the situation. It helps you. It helps the person you're living with, because if they're your caregiver and you care enough to sit down and explain it to them, then they have to care about you, and they will have a greater degree of understanding as well.
Which they have to have, because it's a daily thing. This has become Linda's entire life, caring for you.
Mm.
And that's a big, big job when things are constantly changing.
Linda and I spoke about that today, after the group meeting that we had about, the level of caregiving that
Exactly.
she has to give, that I anticipate, but I do not want her ruining her life because of my condition, So.
Easier said than done.
Oh yeah, but I've enlisted the help of 3 very strong people, all of our children. So I'm starting a conspiracy
But
against her.
because you have that ability to know what's happening, and we've seen this in group, the kids are in denial, or the person with the disease doesn't even know they have the disease, so they haven't had that opportunity to make those arrangements and to have that alliance with people to make sure that your caregiver is not. What do we say, Brian? And we'll talk about it in the next video. How many people say, well, I don't want him drugged. Why? That's something I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah.
Why would you want somebody to be in agony?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about this in the next video. Brian, thanks for today. I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Great.